Live from the Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you by the only beer I wish they did sell in Indonesia, Export Ultra. This is the Agenda podcast for Tuesday, the 11th of June.
The Agenda podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Morning, Lane.
G'day, Manaia. Anyone would think you've been to Bali.
What gives it away?
I don't know. It's the Bintang t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's the genuine Italian-made. Are they Versace?
Prada
glasses.
Prada glasses there.
Yeah.
I got a great deal on them
Did you?
too.
How much did you pay for those genuine Pradas?
200,000 rupiah.
Where's your tattoo?
No, I couldn't. It's funny you say that. So I've just gotten back from Bali, and you know what? It has changed me. But it's funny you mentioned the tattoos because there are tattoo parlors everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely everywhere. The funniest sign that I ever saw for one of them, it was handwritten on a piece of cardboard that I think was from a box of beer, and it was just taped to a wall, and it said 3 tattoos, $30, 1 needle. And I don't know why they had to specify that they were only going to use 1 needle.
I think that's the cost saving. That's why it's only $30.
Yeah, and I just love the idea of them being like, look, we can either do 1 tattoo on 3 different people or 3 tattoos on 1 person, however you want to play it. What I'm telling you is we're only going to use 1 needle. So do what you want with that information. The only issue I have with the 100% authentic $200,000 Pradas, they fog up in every single
they don't look
environment.
They look like potentially if it was any sun, your eyeballs would be burning.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you wouldn't be able to see anything because they'd frost up on both sides. Just quick recap on my trip to Bali. Very, very butthole focused. the whole trip.
Or just you?
Well, I mean, both in a way. As soon as I got there, we got a massage, and the woman was fearless.
Oh, did she? I've been in this situation. Did they go up the inside thigh and flick up?
No, I didn't have that. Chris Key, I was with him. He did have that, and his masseuse was a bloke. So that was full noise. No, my one, she puts the blanket over your back. Then when she goes to rub your back, she'll pull the blanket down, tucked it into my undies, and pull my undies down.
Oh, yes.
I was like, oh boy. And then she was just right in there. I was like, God bless you. You know, you're not getting paid nearly enough for this. That very night, there was a massive noise outside of our villa. What had happened was the pool drained itself, and then by mistake, and then the jets turned on, so they're just blasting water into an empty pool. It was loud as hell.
Who pulled the plug out on the pool?
Don't know. To this day, don't know. But it scared the piss out of me, so I get up to investigate. Didn't realise that my bed was actually on a platform, so I just went flying across the room, ripped the curtain off the rail, and somehow hit the lights in one fell swoop. So my missus wakes up to the lights blasting on, me screaming, flat on my back on the floor.
Entangled in the curtain.
Entangled in the curtain. The curtain's off the rail. She's like, what the fuck is happening? I was like, sorry, I fell over. So that bruised my ass. And
this is day one.
This is day one, yeah. And as you know, it's scooters everywhere. So for the rest of the thing, I still have a giant bruise on my left butt cheek. For the rest of the trip, there was, I was just getting my ass pounded by these scooters. We go to a beach club. One of the people that we were at the beach club with, we were posing for a photo. This dude was standing behind me, and he was suffering from a bit of shrinkage to the point where it felt like I had a gun in my back while we were posing for the photo. It was so awkward. And this is all within the first 48 hours of me being in Bali. And I was like, if the rest of this is as butthole focused as the first 48 hours have been, we're in for a rough one.
Are you you haven't come back with the Bali rash?
Well, no, I haven't.
Which is people falling off scooters and just coming back with just road rash all over them?
No, I haven't. We did rent scooters though, and that was a real relationship strengthening exercise for me and my partner.
Did you get 2 or did you just get 1?
We just got 1.
So you shared it. That's the issue.
Yeah, so she's on the back of mine. Yeah. She didn't want to drive one, so I was like, righto, hop on the back of mine. We got stuck in rush hour traffic, which, by the way, rush hour is from when the sun comes up to when it goes down.
Yeah, traffic is a disaster there.
It is a disaster. We didn't crash it, but we did get to a point where she jumped off and threw the helmet at me and said, I'm getting a car.
Throwing the helmet at you is a big move.
Yeah. I was like, fair enough. Sporting highlight of the week, we watched State of Origin at a bar in Uluwatu with a bunch of Australians there, and it was a great time, great event. Aside from the fact that the game was over within the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, But it was good to just be around a bunch of Aussies watching State of Origin.
Bunch of dingers. Well, you didn't miss out on much here. Nothing much happened here the last few days, so I think we can just get straight into.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was watching from afar. There was a live stream on one of the days, and I don't know what day it was. It was of you sitting in that seat that you're in right now.
Very comfy.
Yeah, it looked very comfortable at the time because you were just asleep. And I was watching that from a bar in Bali, just like, what the fuck's going on?
Look,
what happened?
It's just one of these classic kind of ACC traditions is turning what was a victory into a massive loss. So, I mean, we won an award for this podcast, New Zealand's best sports podcast. Partied way too hard. I passed out in the studio, got in a lot of trouble at home, then just summoned enough energy to do a podcast with poor Carl from the TAB, who I still haven't apologised to because it was the worst sports broadcast ever. And then rolled into an agenda podcast that both Matt Heath and I can't remember recording. And then and then passing out in this chair. And then, you like to have good friends around you to rally around you and, look after you in this state. Then turn the cameras on me and video and live stream me sleeping in this chair for the next hour.
Well, that's the dangers of falling asleep in a seat with a camera trained on it.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, look, I made so many bad decisions in that 24 hours that I spent the next 3 or 4 days paying for it. But hey, I'm out the back of it now, and hearing your first couple of days in Bali's made me feel a lot better, actually.
Yeah, at least yours wasn't as downstairs focused. Does that have something to do with why the pillows are all screwed up on this couch?
Yeah, the couch was used a lot. I mean, Ruda, the producer of the Matt and Jerry show, he was on there before me, and I said, get off, I need to have a lie down.
He actually slept in here the week before.
Yes, he did for the Matt and Jerry live podcast.
He slept in there. Yeah, and he made a point of, he came over to me and explained that he had not relieved himself anywhere in the studio while he slept here. I was
raises some suspicious that he may have.
I was like, thank you, but I didn't think you had.
That's dangerous also with the cameras in here.
Yeah, very dangerous. Okay. Unless that's your thing. Maybe that's what did it. But while I was gone, the Cricket World Cup kicked off, and I didn't really see anything aside from that Corey Anderson beat Pakistan.
Oh yeah. He didn't play. He didn't do much in that game. Actually, I don't think he even batted.
Really?
No, but obviously you've just come straight back from Bali, man from Mars, hasn't seen much.
I haven't seen anything. I saw State of Origin and that was it.
It's an absolute shit show, really, because the games are in, some of them are in Guyana, which is pretty much South America, some are in West Indies, some are in Texas, some are in New York.
Yeah.
So it's all wildly different. The pitch in New York is an absolute shitter. The stadium looks great.
Yeah. Is it an old baseball?
No, it's a pop-up stadium. They built it from scratch. It's all scaffolding, Cave Creeky type situation.
Yeah.
But, I mean, India defended 117 or 119 or whatever against Pakistan. The pitch is a bit dodgy there. Pitches in Guyana is slow and turns. Didn't help that New Zealand turned up and absolutely shat the bed against Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Got absolutely outplayed in every facet of the game and now are playing for the tournament against West Indies, the hosts, on Thursday at Brian Lara Academy Stadium. But Pakistan are potentially out. We're potentially out. USA are potentially through. Afghanistan are potentially through. But the same old constant, the best team in the competition by a long, long way is Australia.
That's annoying. But it is such a bizarre sort of setup. Like you said, teams all over the shop in terms of where they're playing.
You might as well have a game in New Zealand.
Yeah. I hate that for sporting events because the whole point of a World Cup is it's in one place.
Well, FIFA's doing something similar in the next few years. They're doing it in, I think, 3 countries. FIFA World Cup.
Yeah. I think I saw that. Well, we've been saying this for ages, the Fight Island idea where we just have one sporting complex for all sports events. And each year you rotate through whatever it is.
Yeah,
so
Qatar.
This year, it's all in Qatar. This year it'll be the Olympics. Next year it's the FIFA World Cup. The year after it's whatever. And it's all played in the same spot. It's just one single place that you can go to and watch it all. It makes no sense. It also really annoys me that I was looking forward to a bit of a Cricket World Cup when we get home. We get home and already we're playing for our lives in Game 2. I feel like we've waited so long for this World Cup to come around and we didn't play for the first 2 weeks.
No, we didn't do a warm-up either.
Didn't do any warm-ups, haven't done basically anything. Now all of a sudden it could be over on Thursday.
Yep, 12:30 Thursday, midday, 12:30 midday, not 12:30 midnight. So great thing to watch along at work on Sky Sport 9 because we're covering that one.
Yep.
But that's pretty much a summary. South Africa just held off Bangladesh overnight. Bangladesh needed a 6 off the last ball. They lost 2 wickets in the last over, so they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
They needed 6 off the last ball. Couldn't do it. So South Africa squeaked through there.
Is there something weird going on at this World Cup, or is this just a T20 World Cup where T20's got so much variance and anyone could win any game?
I think there's a few key things, like spinners playing a massive part. I think I've seen most games I've watched, they've opened with a spinner.
Right.
And the spinners are good. Like the West Indies have got this great left armour who basically bowls this in-swinger. So he turns it away, and then he bowls a quick in-swinger, and he's getting so many wickets.
Is it a genuine, it's not drift, it's a genuine swing?
Yeah,
right.
And you got Rashid Khan for Afghanistan, who just owned us.
Yeah.
Absolutely owned us.
He's their one mean bowler, eh?
Yeah, and then they've got the left armour who mimics Trent Bolt. He got 4 wickets against us. He Trent Bolted us. He's about maybe 10 centimetres shorter than Trent Bolt, but his action is modelled on Trent Bolt.
Mouth size, big, small?
No, and apart from that, no.
Okay.
It's only the action. And they did a split screen in the game against, and it was like very similar.
He out Trent Bolted Trent Bolt.
Yeah, and he did, and he got 4 wickets. Rashid Khan got 4 wickets. It was every team's got like quite a mean strike spin bowler. Zampa's playing well for Australia.
Yeah.
And we've got Santner, which look, love Santner.
I've said for the longest time, not a spin bowler.
He's an all-rounder.
He's an all-rounder.
I know.
He is a great bowler, but it doesn't. He's not a prolific turner of the ball.
So there's a lot of pressure on him and Bracewell, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah.
Lockie Ferguson, he bowled well. He really put the brakes on Afghanistan, but just we dropped catches, we missed fielding, there was overthrows. It was a real tough watch, and that's why we had to reform the Black Cap supporters support group. And we sold 80 T-shirts. People were getting around each other. People were booking scout halls.
Yeah.
And we've all penciled them in for Friday.
Yeah,
because
right.
we've got West Indies at home.
Yeah, we've got of course. So we've got a standing reservation at the Silver Band Hall in every town.
Yeah, that's right. So book the halls Friday. Tune in, and look, if you're gonna watch along and share the pain, there's no better commentary team to do it with than us.
Oh yeah.
So Sky Sport 9 on Thursday at 12:30.
What do we do with that money? Because that's blood money. The money that we make.
Do you know what we do?
T-shirt.
We basically reinvested in buying more stupid shit like the 300 hip flasks we've got.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
Which, in hindsight, we should have activated at the New Zealand Radio and Podcast Awards, because during the ceremony they have it in a theatre and alcohol's banned. They don't serve drinks before.
Yeah.
We should have stood outside the front and handed out ACC hip flasks.
Oh.
We would have been the biggest heroes. So maybe next year.
Hindsight, eh?
Yeah.
Hindsight. From the sounds of things, no one was thinking straight.
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. You got me back up to
Okay.
speed with the Cricket World Cup. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back with some more sport. The National Basketball Association are finally into your favourite part of
Yes.
the season, and actually against your will. So you usually only tune into the finals, but against your will this season, it seems that your kids have been keeping you up to date.
Yeah, I've been involved early.
Yeah, and it has. I've noticed my sister's into it. She's 11, about to turn 12. She loves the NBA as well. They've done a great job of wrestling the kids' attention. Eh?
Well, I've mentioned it before. It's a pretty simple formula. They basically haven't restricted the use of footage on any social media platform. So anyone can grab footage and put their own little highlights reel together on TikTok, YouTube, on Shorts or whatever. Reels, and they just go for it. And so the whole time they're scrolling through NBA content.
Yeah.
He knows, I reckon he knows as many players as you do in the NBA, my 12-year-old.
Yeah, he would. Because he's playing the PlayStation game as well, I presume.
Yeah, and he's commentating when we're watching highlights. He goes, Kyrie! I'm like, they've done a great job. They've like, you know what? Whoever wants to consume this content can consume it. We're not going to be anal about it. You look at some other, sports who are so anal about their protective of their content that they restrict it. Whereas NBA are like, nah, man, fucking fill your boots.
Yeah, and so the result of that is what they have now is these massive fan bases who don't even watch games.
No.
And there's people, I probably put myself in this category where I consume more NBA content that's adjacent to the games than I actually watch minutes of game time.
I can, hand on heart, say my 12-year-old is obsessed with it, has not watched an entire game of NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've tried to say, I've said, hey, do you want to watch the Mavs game? He's like, why would I do that? I was going to watch the highlights.
I'll watch the highlights afterwards. Yeah, and it changes the way that they think of these players because all they see is highlights.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, he's like this. Then you watch a game, it's like, hey, he does that once every 3 games.
Quite funny. This is beside the point, but it's kind of relative. Luka Doncic, he thinks that Luka Doncic is the person from the Burns Co., which is a marine store in New Zealand. And there's a guy on the side of Burns Co., if you go to Albany, who's got a life jacket on and holding a water ski. And he 100% swears he reckons it's Luka Doncic. And I was like, it's not Luka Doncic. He goes, it is Luka Doncic. And I was like, this is a marine supply store in Albany, New Zealand. They have not got Luka Doncic to put a life jacket on. I'll take a photo of it next time I go past that and I'll send it through. But if you are turning off to Albany to go to Albany Mall on the left-hand side, have a look at the side of Burns Co. And there's a dude there that my son is obsessed with that he thinks is Luka Doncic. And how did they get Luka Doncic to pose?
How did they get him to agree to that? It's funny you say that. I don't know if you've heard, but I just got back from Bali. And there's signs everywhere for this, like, paddles big over there, like pickleball sort of thing.
Yeah.
And one franchise of paddle court uses Cristiano Ronaldo as the image. And they've like crudely photoshopped the racket into his head. And it's like, he doesn't know that's there.
What's he got to do?
Yeah, what's he going to do about it, first of all? Second of all, like, is he just that cool that people will be like, oh, wicked, oh, sweet, I'll go there?
Yeah, because surely you'd throw Federer or Nadal or Djokovic or
Paul Cole. I don't know, someone that's like racket sport adjacent.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, so here's where we're at the moment. Game 2 was yesterday. Celtics won that one, so they've won the first 2 games at home.
Yep.
And how the series works is the next 2 games will be on the road. At
Dallas.
Then it goes 1-1-1 after that. So they usually say that a series doesn't start till a home team loses. So, people riding off the Mavs already, just relax a little bit. But I think the star that's sort of come out of nowhere has been Kristaps Porzingis. Because I think the average or casual fan wouldn't know who he was until that game 1, because he'd been injured for most of the playoffs. Now all of a sudden he comes back. He's 7'4" and he can shoot. And for the longest time they were saying, oh, this guy's going to be basically like what Victor Wembanyama is like now at the moment. But he's just so injured all the time. Primarily due to the fact he's 7'4".
With the 2 games back in Dallas,
yes.
What I want to see Virat Kohli courtside.
Oh, of course, because they're playing games there.
Because India just played Pakistan in Dallas over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I want to see Jasprit Bumrah and Virat Kohli courtside looking dangerously confused.
Yeah.
Like,
dressed like absolute superstars.
And dressed like superstars, but also potentially the shortest men in the whole arena.
And they'd put them on the TV screen and everyone would be like, who?
Yeah.
Who's he? Is he a Bollywood actor, is he?
But they've probably got bigger followers than most of the NBA players put together.
That is a funny one about cricket, is that those guys are enormous. Like Kohli is just probably one of the most famous athletes in the world.
Oh, by population easily, yeah.
Yeah, but most people don't actually know who he is. They're the country music stars of the sporting world.
Yeah.
Like they are enormous, but you've never heard of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be good to see him sideline there. The Warriors, all the headlines for the last 2-3 weeks have been, since Tamati Martin started playing real well, everyone's been like, oh, the Warriors have got a massive headache now because Sean Johnson's going to be fit next week. And what does Andrew Webster do? Here's a hot tip. Puts Sean Johnson back in the fucking Warriors. I guarantee, don't overthink it.
Totally. You got a guy who just about won the Dally M.
He should have, yeah.
Should have won the Dally M. And just because he's been away and, Tamati Martin's done a great job.
Excellent
job.
Great work for my Supercoach team.
Yeah, but you're right.
But he's not Sean Johnson. And the other thing is, he's still going to be on the field. And Sean Johnson, it's not like he hasn't been watching these games. He's been sidelined. He's looking at this going, wicked. Well, when I come back, keep that same energy, Tamati, and give me a bit of a break while we're playing.
Totally. It's just going to open up more space because there's more options.
It's only it can only possibly be a good thing. The only thing that I would say is potentially, do they swap positions to where Tamati Martin just keeps that 7 jersey and Sean Johnson plays a bit more of a running game off the back of him, and then it takes a little bit off his plate. It's not all on Sean Johnson. I think that could be the only difference. I don't think the jersey numbers will swap, but potentially the roles could change a little bit. But again, these are not a problem for the Warriors. All of the headlines are trying to be like, Webster's selection headaches. Like,
how good looking are our halves, though?
Oh, Devastating.
Couple of dreamboats.
Devastating. We've got one of the better looking teams in the comp. The Broncos are probably the only better looking team than us.
That's only because you've got the old
Reece Walsh, yeah, but Jordan,
he looks different now though after he got his head taken off.
Yeah, he does. And I would say Jordan Ricky's probably may even be hotter, depending on who you ask. They are a good looking team. They may have us done, but like you say, we're up there. We're in the conversation. And I also see that the Hurricanes have had to change their kickoff time for their playoff game this weekend.
I think this is great.
Yeah,
this is the fact that a few years ago it would have been like, fuck it, we'll take him head on.
Yeah.
Fuck rugby league.
Yeah.
But they've finally worked out that, let's not fuck ourselves here.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be sensible. And they're going to kick off at 4:30, which will allow everyone to also watch the Warriors as well. So common sense has prevailed.
Yeah.
Which I think is, and whether this came from Sky,
I reckon.
yeah, rather,
100%
yeah,
it did.
just going, come on, guys, this is fucking stupid if you do that. You are going to cut your nose off to spite your face. But for them to actually listen to it and go, yeah, okay.
I know, because you're right. It would be so very rugby of them to be like, no, we're the number one sport in this country.
No,
Everyone's going to be watching
it's
this.
7 o'clock is the match. We always do it. 7 o'clock. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's right. They would have come in and be like, you think that everyone in Wellington's going to watch a bloody Auckland Rugby League team, do you? It's like, well, the numbers say that, yes, they
Good.
are.
It gives me faith. It gives me
Yeah.
faith that, they've recognised the fact that we actually have to coexist.
Yeah, that's right. And also, it's only going to benefit them because people that probably weren't going to watch that game will now be like, okay, well, I'll watch that game first. Then
And
I'll watch the Warriors.
just great for us as
As
well.
sports fans.
As sports fans, it's like, thank you.
Don't make me choose.
Exactly.
Because the other thing is, it's hard. You won't watch the replay if you know what the score is. You never do. You always think that you will, but you just don't.
Only Die Henwood watches replays.
Yeah, that's right. But he watches replays of like Queensland Cup games.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Shit like that.
Toyota Cup. Even.
Harold Matthews, yeah, it's out of control. To the football desk now, Lane. Football massively underrepresented on this podcast, which is, as you mentioned, the greatest sports podcast in the nation. So here we go.
Well,
sports fans.
So AC Milan have done something quite interesting. They've brought in like and this is from Joe Pompliano. Does a great business blog around business of sport. Is around AC Milan's financial situation and what they're doing with fans and whatever. They're building in a courtside seats like the NBA. So people sit between the players' benches. So they've got like these 20 seats that go between the player benches. So you're right in the mixer.
Yeah, that's great.
At the moment, they're invite only. So I think they've just got movie stars or whatever. But then they'll eventually sell them.
To some Saudi sheikh.
Yeah, pretty much. But quite a cool idea. Like bringing fans right on field. So they're basically between the benches. The players are running around in front of them.
Because they make the teams. Jack Nicholson used to sit courtside at the Lakers for years.
Yeah.
Spike Lee for the New York Knicks.
So AC Milan. So they just recently got bought out by an American investment fund, Redbird Capital,
Right.
for $1.2 billion. That was in 22. And they're doing all right. AC Milan. They reached the Champions League semi-final last year. They finished second in the league this year. But on the business side, the 128-year-old Italian football club is on fire. They have made a record profit this year. They came second in the Serie A, but their revenue this year was $105 million US. It's the highest in the club's history. And their operating income is $81 million. Valuation of $1.4 billion. This is US, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
So quite interesting because they also share their stadium with Inter Milan, yet they make so much more money and have so many. Their ticket sales are more. They're doing these sideline seats.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, but I mean I don't know. Their obviously a business model is working, and how they do it. But they're owned by this investment company that's full of cliches, but obviously something's working for them.
Yeah.
And
It's like a Silver Lake deal that actually worked.
yeah, pretty much. That's what it sounds like. But, courtside seats, bring them in for the rugby. Imagine sitting in between the benches of rugby, putting like 20 people just on, and they're just in seats. They get to park with the players as well. So you turn up, you park in the same car parks as the players. You get a concierge, takes you to your seat, and you get a Michelin-starred chef, brings you out like the entrees and stuff. And and you just ball it up on the sideline.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. Why don't we do a New Zealand version of that? Where you pull up, you sit on the sideline, we bring you toppers, we bring you export ultras. You just get to sit there and watch the game. Because that would change particularly Eden Park, but also the Cake Tin, where you're actually not sitting anywhere near the ground.
No.
But if you filled those in and put people there, that that would change everything.
Well, what you could do at the Cake Tin and at Eden Park, you could practically put a beer festival on between the stand and the sideline.
100% you could.
And people could just stand around on leaners watching
Yeah.
the game because there is so much space between the sideline and the stand that you could actually create something quite cool within that.
If you haven't been to Eden Park, the Breakers could play on the sideline. It's that big between the...
Well, even more so at the Cake Tin. The Cake Tin's even wider. It's ridiculous.
And that would change everything. And I know that the first retort would be, well, but what happens if a player goes crashing into the thing? It was like, what happens is we are number one on SportsCenter. We go viral.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're going to get rugby onto ESPN is if someone goes careening into a corporate hospitality table.
Because how many times has someone shown you a photo of some old biddy with her glasses courtside at an NBA game and a ball clatters into her face and just explodes her glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, check this out.
In slow motion.
Yeah, totally.
It's the best thing ever. So, yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. Tables, I think, ringside at the boxing when they sit at the corporate tables, I'd love that. We talked about they used to have that at the Breakers.
Yeah, they did, but
they can fit so many more people in is the problem. So they've now changed that to all seating. But the thing is, at the rugby, there's that much ground.
So much room.
You could just about put people. Maybe you put them in the in goal, like at the ends. Because how good would it be to watch a try being scored?
That's what the Warriors got. They've just got people can just lean on the back fence at the Warriors, that fan end.
Yeah, that down that end is excellent. I don't think people realise how close that is.
Oh, I saw great footage of the Dolphins club setup, the
bistro.
Oh my God, how good is that?
The bistro, I'd just about rather go to that than Magic Round. Probably not quite, but sitting there and having a chicken schnitty, watching the footy, a couple of schooners.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. There's that. But we've solved it again. We've solved it again.
It never ends. I know we throw a lot of shit at the wall, but I wouldn't be shocked if we heard someone parroting this stuff back to us in the next few weeks. Let's take one more quick break before we wrap this thing up. All right, I just had to take a quick break, have a quick drink of water. The $3 durries were getting a hold of me. And
you don't look as bad as I thought you were going to look because normally if you go away, usually you go away to a wedding in Waimate and you come back looking like Prince
Emperor
Palpatine. There's all sorts going on. You got kind of coloration issues going on. You've got rashes and your throat's out and everything's falling apart. But you've come back from Bali relatively unscathed.
I think I actually nailed it on the durry front because you can smoke inside everywhere. We had a taxi driver one day who was like, does anyone smoke in here? And everyone's like, no, we don't. And I sort of looked at my missus and was like, how do I answer this? She shook her head. I was like, no. As he goes, oh, okay, well, just to let you know, like, if you want to smoke in this taxi, you can. Like, you can smoke in here. I'm fine with it. What he was saying was, can I smoke in here? And he didn't. But in the end, what I ended up doing was, because durries are like, it's $3 for a pack of durries over there. It's outrageous. It's so cheap. So what I was doing is I'd bum a durry off whoever was driving us, tour guides, whatever, because they're all smoking while we're going. And then I just tipped them $3. So that's a whole pack of durries to them. And I just could smoke whenever I wanted to without actually having a full pack of darts on me at any given time. That's the hack.
You should have just bought a whole carton of darts and just flicked them a pack of darts. That would have been quite balling.
That probably would have been the go. Yeah, didn't realise.
That'd mean you'd have to carry around a whole carton and you'd probably smash that carton.
100%. Yeah, so it's actually probably an own goal. America's Cup was back in the news this week because they put out the forecast of how much money it's set to make Barcelona later on this year. It's about $2 billion. It's going to create about 19,000 jobs over there as well.
Oh, good for them. No, that's awesome. Well done.
I know.
Well done.
I was like, didn't we win that?
Didn't we? Yeah.
Shouldn't we be hosting that? And from what I remember, basically wasn't it like Sailing was trying to hold the government over a barrel and be like, you have to pay for all of this, and if you don't, then we're out of here.
Yeah, and they said that like if they don't, then they can't afford to go with the program they've currently got, and they can't compete with other international teams with the current budget, so they have to take it overseas to defend it. That is the reason why they're in Barcelona. but it's all about the cash.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
To be fair, we did our ass on the last one because that was still on the tail end of COVID.
Yes.
And so they had forecasted all these super yachts and billionaires were going to come into the country and no one came. So I could see why if you're the government, you're like, look, I just can't. I cannot justify this again.
But mind you, you're so deep. We've done it so many times. It's like, why wouldn't you do it again?
You're pot committed at this
Totally.
point.
Now
Yeah.
you're like, now you've just gone off again and you're just giving it all to Barcelona, which is a great city, and they'll do a great job, and it'll look great, and we'll probably lose.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Then it never comes back to New Zealand.
Ever.
So I'm like, well, how do we get it back to New Zealand? And I've got a plan. It's a two-phase strategy that I think could benefit not only the America's Cup, but also our own league of the Sail GP.
Yes.
And that is, and you may have picked up where I'm heading with this, we take all of the Hector's dolphins we can find out of the Akaroa Harbour, and we take them over to Barcelona, and we release them into the thing, bringing America's Cup to its knees, and then be like, well, funnily enough, we've just found out we don't have any of the dolphins anymore, so why don't you bring it back here? And we have it back down there in Christchurch, and we wrestle $2 billion back for our economy.
You should have brought this up tomorrow in a
half-baked sports idea.
Because I like it. But the thing is, when you go to Europe, there's a different level of give a fuck over there.
Yeah.
And if a dolphin gets in the way of something that's potentially looks like fun and people are involved, they'll go, manana, and they'll just run it over.
They'll just sashimi that motherfucker.
Totally. They will want, they'll go, heck, this dolphins.
Yeah, that's a good point. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't. They don't. In terms of your kind of environmentalist clout.
Yeah, true.
They have a bigger mallet here than they do over in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still there, but they're not going to stop a race that's going to make this city billions and billions of dollars.
$2 billion,
like, $2 billion. Well, they'll just go, there's these giant salmon that are flying around here. Like, look at the size of these salmon.
They'll be like, do you want to try some Hector's dolphin for dinner tonight? Because we've actually just carved one in half with a monofoil out in the harbour. I saw footage recently of a shipping container pulling into dock with like a right whale over
on the bulb at the front.
Yeah, just splattered.
Oh, but ban container ships.
Ban container ships.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Apparently, it's a bit more common than you'd think. They're sashimiing a marine mammal on your...
That one, the sashimi one, it landing on the bulb of a container ship is a bit different from a sashimi. It's more a kind of a pan-fried situation, isn't it? Because it just sits on top of it.
Yeah, it is. It's tenderized. Tenderloin. All right. I understand yesterday got through a mountain of yours, pleases.
Mainly feedback on the Friday's potty, but yeah.
Across the weekend. So we've only just got the one today, but it is now time for yours, please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
Hey lads, you want to get more people to the cake tin? Fucking make the beers cheaper. $43 for 4 beers. Mate, I'll sit in the pub and not fucking go. Or sit at home. How good.
And I know this is a great point that you make here, caller, and it is one that we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast, but I do think it's right to bring it up again, and that's that beers just cost so much at the ground, and what they are competing with is staying at home or going to the pub.
Yeah, I understand that it costs a lot. You got staff, it's not cheap to actually get people now.
Yes.
I understand all that carry on, but when you're paying that much for a couple of beers and a hamburger or whatever, or a shitty little pizza or something, it is quite hard to justify.
Yes.
And
there's a point of diminishing returns because people aren't going to games. And that is one of the main problems. The other problem is, and from all the accounts that I heard from people that went to Magic Round, which was the Bogan Olympics, it was rugby league, Nirvana, millions of people there. Nobody struggled to get a beer.
I know.
And so it's like, how can, even with declining sporting attendance, when you go to a game, you still have to queue up for a beer? It's, how I understand gouging my eyes out for it. You've got a captive audience, fine.
Yeah.
Like, take me for all I'm worth. But at least let me get them. Because I can't, at least give me an opportunity to give you all of my money.
Well, look at the Masters. We talked about the Masters. They haven't changed their food price for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's stayed the same.
An egg sandwich is like $2.
Yeah, and the beers are still cheap. They've kept it the same because they realise the value of the actual event itself.
Yes.
And making money around the event and the whole Masters brand and the merchandise they sell and everything like that.
Yeah.
So they've nailed it. Whereas we're like, okay, there's 10,000 people here. How we're still 20,000 short because of the capacities. How can we make up the value? Let's just charge them $16 a beer. Make them queue up so we only have to put one person on the till.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. They'll pay it. They got nowhere else to go.
I know. Yeah. It's like, well, yes, they do. Here's where they go. They go
20,000 are at home.
Yes. We're still watching, but we're just at home with an Export Ultra, for way less.
Well, that's why Sky have said their viewership's up by 16%. It's mainly because of us on Sky Sport 9. But also the fact that fans are probably like, you know what, fuck, I'll smash a dozen Export Ultras at home for the same price as 2 beers.
That's right.
From the ground.
I know, and it's like, it's just, so even the hearty fans who are like, yeah, I want to go, you look out your window on game day and it's raining sideways, you've got a fridge full of beers and a blanket on the couch, you know what I mean? Like, that just tips it so far in favour of just staying at home. And I think they'd look at it the wrong way, where for the longest time it's been like everyone goes to the rugby, and that was true for the longest time. So it's like, everyone's going to go to the rugby regardless, so let's gouge their eyes out, make our money that way. Well, now it's shifted. People aren't just by default going to watch these games. So it's not a given that they're going to be there, so you don't just have the right to fleece us.
I reckon the F&B should be a loss leader for the next couple of years.
100%.
A loss leader. If you're losing money, I know that but there's all sorts of complexities around this. I know this of help run stadiums around, you sell the catering side of the business to a third party. Yeah. Whether it's a Spotless or whoever. So they run the concession. So stadiums, in effect, don't really have a choice on pricing.
Yes.
Or anything else. But someone's got to stand up and go, right, I'll subsidise it, whatever, I don't care.
Well, they do, because they could just say, look, here's your maximum pricing, and like we'll put it out. But yeah, you're right.
There is some political stuff, but if it was a loss leader, right, beers are $5 for the first half.
Yes.
Burgers are $10. That's it.
We're calling it a marketing expense.
Yeah. Let's put it under the marketing, whatever. Or like we said before, you get a free beer with your ticket, and then beers are $10 after that. That subsidises it down. But who knows? I mean, look, I know we're solving the world's problems again on this podcast, but I think if a loss leader on match experience is the way to go, then we have to do it.
Yeah.
We can't keep going on and just selling games out for the semi and the final.
Well, couldn't you subsidise it by because everyone in a corporate box doesn't pay for their piss.
No, but
they crush it.
Yeah, that's because whoever owns the corporate box pays for it.
Oh,
it's not free. So
it's still paid for.
So say DB have got a corporate box. At the end of that game, they will get a bill for the amount of piss that got drunk in that box.
Right. Well, then why couldn't we get someone to come in and be like, right,
Export Ultra would do it in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah, and just say, okay, whoever's got the catering thing here, you're still going to make your money. We're going to pay you. But the punter, they get a massive discount.
$5 can.
$5 can.
Cool.
So you get 4 for $20. You're back at your seat. And they're in cans. We don't even open them. Just put... The opening them thing, that annoys me.
Yeah,
what does that stop?
Well, they reckon you can throw it. Fuck off. Who's throwing beers? Too expensive.
Who's paying $15 for a beer
and
to throw it at someone? Fuck that. It's cheaper to throw your shoes, to be honest.
Hey, in other news on Export Ultra, obviously we're lining up our Ultra pre-games before the England games.
Yes.
So we've lined up the Postman's League in Auckland. So we're going to cram in 200 people into there. We've got live music. We've got free coaches going from there. We'll let you know details on how you can book that. Dunedin, we're still looking for a place. Mm-hmm. You are going down there and going to check out some places. So we've had lots of suggestions around Gardy's, which is impossible because it's a library.
It is a library.
The Bowler, the Cook, Starters, or the Ori. So this week you're going down there and potentially going to line one up.
Yeah, I'm going to go and have a look. It's going to be one of the wildest swings in temperatures that a human body's ever gone through. But I will go down there and have a look. It's kind of sad from what I've heard. All of the student bars have been boarded up and shut.
I'm putting my weight behind the Cook. I want the Captain Cook to reopen. I know it's got a Sal's in it, but can we just shift them out for a bit?
Oh, yeah, we could bin them out of there. I have an affinity to Starters Bar. When I was living down there, we lived like literally a street over, and we could walk through straight into Starters Bar. My flatmates were the bouncers. One of them worked behind the bar. One of them was the DJ. So Starters Bar is a particular affinity, but I know that it got shut down a couple of years ago. But we have the power to resuscitate one of these bars.
Absolutely. And we'll be there for the weekend of the England All Blacks match.
It's only a month away.
Yeah, 5th and 6th of July. Less than a month.
Got our work cut out for ourselves.
So we'll see what we can do. Where we can do, but keep the suggestions coming through, and we can't wait. We'll rip Dunedin a new one.
Yeah. All right, we'll knock this one on the head for today. We will be back tomorrow for a Wednesday with another half-baked sports idea. Send in your voicemails for yours, please. We will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.